And I decided that I wanted to start today by reading our Declaration of Principles, because I think it is the foundation for what is our common good. And we really don't talk about our Declaration of Principles enough, in my opinion. And this was written by Ernest Holmes in 1927. It was published in the Science of Mind magazine. In case you don't know, Science of Mind magazine is the longest running publication in the United States. And he published it is what I believe, and then later it was transposed into what we believe when we created the Religious Science of Mind Centers for Spiritual Living. We kind of have 3 different monocles we go under. So you can just sit. Some of these are going to land right on your heart. Some of these you may go, yeah, no. Some of them you may think, I have no idea what she's talking about. All of that is okay. The thing that I love most about this philosophy and what we teach is we don't spoon feed anything to anybody. They get to take what works for them, work it how they want to work it, and the rest of it they just can leave behind or wait till a later date. So just relax as I read this to you. We believe in God, the living Spirit Almighty, one indestructible, absolute, and self-existent cause. This one manifests itself in and through all creation, and it's not absorbed by its creation. The manifest universe is the body of God. It is the logical and necessary outcome of the infinite self-knowingness in God. We believe in the incarnation of the Spirit in everyone, and that all people are incarnations of the one Spirit. We believe in the immortality and the continuity of the individual soul forever and ever expanding. We believe that heaven is within us and that we experience it to the degree that we become conscious of it. We believe the ultimate goal of life to be a complete emancipation of all discord of every nature, and that this goal is sure to be attained by all. We believe in the unity of all life, and the highest God and the innermost God are the same God. We believe that God is personal to all who feel this indwelling presence. We believe in the direct revelation of truth through the intuitive and spiritual nature of the individual, and that any person may become a revealer of truth who lives in close contact with their indwelling God. We believe that the universal spirit, which is God, operates through a universal mind, which is the law of God, and that we are surrounded by this creative mind, which receives the direct impress of our thought and acts upon it. We believe in the healing of the sick through the power of this mind. We believe in the control of conditions through the power of this mind. We believe in the eternal goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and the eternal givingness of life to all. We believe in our own soul, our own spirit, and our own destiny, for we understand the life of all is God. So what is the common good? The common good is recognizing that each and every one of us is that indwelling presence of the divine, a manifestation of the thing itself. I choose to call it God. You can call it anything. Call it energy. Don't call it anything at all if you don't choose. It is that place within you that that speaks to you when you kind of go, what? Where did that thought come from? You know, I've shared this story before. Everybody here is intuitive. Every single one of you. Some, you might think, well, they're more intuitive than I am. If they are, it's just because they're listening. Intuition is about listening. And the common good is about realizing, regardless of who you are, what you do, or why you think you're here, we're all the same. It doesn't matter if you're sitting here or if you're sitting at the church behind us, or if you're sitting at another church on a different corner. We're all one. When somebody asks Ernest Holmes about the science of mind philosophy, and this quote is in Can We Talk to God? And I'm not quoting it exactly. Somebody asked him, kind of like, so you think you've got the next great religion? He's like, no. I think I have something that works for me. What I hope is it will work for other people. What he absolutely believed was many paths, one destination. And so what is the common good? It is knowing that regardless of what you think about another person, and what I'm talking about is not the good thoughts you have about another person, the judgment thoughts, the less than thoughts, the whatever thoughts that you have around particular people. If you can work to let that go, that helps create a common good. Because our energy and our thoughts are powerful. So on Tuesday night, I went to see Paul Selig in downtown Seattle, and he channels. And I had never been in front of a channeler before. I've read books. I love the books, but I had never actually sat and watched somebody do this. Now, I don't know about you, but I've always thought, I would love to be a psychic. I would love to be a channeler. How come I can't do that? And then I sat in front of this person and I was like, oh no, I wouldn't want to do that. I really saw the power of what he was doing and recognized definitely his path and was very clear. Oh, you could give that up. That is not something that you would want to do. And why I bring him up is because he talked about the common good through the guides, if you will, and sometimes in just as himself. That regardless of what a person has done, if we can get past feeding the energy of that was wrong, that is bad, how could they do that? Whatever act it is, there is an effect and there is something, cause and effect. Something will happen by everybody's action, right? That goes without saying. What we tend to do when we see something is then we get wound up. We start talking about that particular situation and how awful it is and how bad that person is. And all we're doing is feeding the storm. Can you see that? Because you're powerful. Mother Teresa said, never invite me to a war protest. I will come to a peace rally. Because the whole idea of the two words, war and protest, is feeding what you are trying to create opposite of. And we tend to do that all the time. Regardless of your political views, there is always somebody in office at some level that you don't like. Correct? Doesn't matter at what level. Somebody you don't like. And what we tend to do is then all we hear is we always want to comment on what that person has said and how we disagree with that person, and we make the person the thing that we're disagreeing about instead of the act, if you will. Am I clear? So what you want to do is realize that regardless of who the person is, they have that spark and light in them just like you. And you may not understand it. You may not see them as a person that is God in form, and yet if you follow this philosophy, each and every one of us are. Every single one of us. You don't get to put somebody outside of the circle because you can't. We make people separate in our humanness. And so what we can do, there is a practice. I thought it was in practitioner training. I've heard it was in other classes. I think they have us do it multiple times just to kind of annoy us as students. They invite you to watch a news program, any news program. And when you start to feel that thing inside you that wants to scream at the TV or say, oh, that person is such a so-and-so, is to look at the TV and put your hand up and separate the person from what they're saying or what you think they're doing. And bless the person. Send that person love. Because what we want to create is an energy of love. And if we're constantly attacking, we are, the words "no better" popped into my head. We are on the same level as the person, if you will, that we think we're in disagreement with. Remember the saying, 2 wrongs don't make a right? And so how can you facilitate a common good? How can you look beyond what you see with your eyes, what you hear with your ears, and recognize that everybody is God in form? Now, I can stand here and say that. I will also tell you this is not an easy practice for me. I have a lot of opinions, and I think they're right. I will stand by them. I will share them with people who don't ask me. Right? Everybody here, I assume, does that also. It's human nature. And so what I'm asking is, can we get beyond that? Can you step beyond the natural place that we go as humans looking for what's different? Oh, that person's a brunette. Oh, that person has blue eyes. Oh, that person's like 6 inches taller than me. Oh, that's a couple over there. That couple looks really different than me and my husband. We always look for what's separate instead of looking at, wow, everybody here, in my belief, every person sitting here is God in form. Every single person. Every single person sitting here has a purpose, whether they know it or not. Your purpose could be just to recognize that love shows the way. You know, in our philosophy, because we talk about the allness of God, we talk about the love and the law. And there is a saying that says, the love shows the way, the law makes that way possible. And what that means is to lead with our hearts. And there's a place in the universe, we believe, that when we speak our truth, the universe only says one thing back to us: yes. Now, when I say we speak our truth, it doesn't matter what we're saying. The universe will say back to us yes. How many of you have drastically or even a little bit changed your life just by changing the way you think about yourself? That's living proof. I don't know if all of them got that from being here, or they just one day decided they were going to change that inner voice that's constantly talking to them in not positive ways. Because if we can't love ourselves, then it's a little difficult to create a common good. Because we're emanating energy all the time with the thoughts and how we show up, how we're feeling, what we're doing. And so how do you help create that common good? What are you saying about yourself? What are you saying about others? And it's a practice. I wish I could tell you that I got this down, and I don't. People annoy me. They do. I will own that. I try my best. I really do my best. I know there's no trying, there's just do. I heard that. You're welcome. I thought you were a Star Trek fan, for goodness sake. But, you know, there is that place within me is to recognize now, instead of it being automatic, to recognize, oh, it's just your opinion. It has no validity in who that person is. And I've used this as an example before, and I'll use Bernie because he knows that what I'm going to say isn't true about him. So we know Courtney adores Bernie, right? Yeah, she does. I know that. So let's say I don't. Everything about Bernie just needles me. It bugs me. I can't be around him. Who's different? Bernie? No. Bernie's Bernie. My interaction with Bernie is mine. It's how I choose to perceive Bernie. And that's how we create a better common good, is when you have that place where somebody is showing up in your life and they are pushing your buttons or making you go, please stop. To really ask yourself, what is it in me that is getting so riled up? Right? Because that person is just being themselves. And the common good is for me to love everybody to the best of my ability. It doesn't mean that I have to hang out with everybody. It doesn't mean that if somebody has done something and it's not for the good of humanity, let's say somebody robs a bank. It doesn't mean that I have to love the act or think, oh, well, that's okay. Great for him. Stop damning the person. Because we don't know what's behind the story, do we? Every single one of us has that place within us that we are seeing through the eyes we're seeing from. Do you know what that means? It means that when you look at something, you are seeing it with all your past experience. If for some reason I didn't like Bernie, I would guarantee you it would have nothing to do with Bernie. It would have something to do with somebody in my past that had done something to me, or I had thought had done something to me, and then energetically, there it is again. Have you ever experienced that? Somebody shows up in your life, they look different, and yet you're like, oh, that's really familiar. So it's not about the other person. It's about you. All of our work here is about us. So if we want to know what the common good is, first of all, we need to start showing up as ourselves. Quit trying to be what Gayle likes, and then what Courtney likes, and then what Bernie likes, and then what Beth likes, and then what Jim likes. First of all, you will drive yourself crazy because none of us like the same thing. So stop that. Be yourself. You are here to express yourself fully. You are here to absolutely go, I have a right to be here. I chose to walk on this planet at this particular time. I have a right to be here, and I'm going to be myself. And sometimes, if you're like me, when you first stepped into that suit of I'm going to be yourself, your ego's going to let you see everybody's face. It's like, that girl drives me crazy. Right? Because my ego wants me to stop being myself. Be yourself anyway. Your purpose here, I believe, we're all looking for, what's my purpose? What's my purpose? What if your purpose is just to be here and to love each other? Oh, goodness, that's too easy, isn't it? Too easy. But really, what if that was it? Remember last week's song? What if every time something happened, we stopped and thought, what would love do? Remember the Christian thing? What would Jesus do? Truly, it's the same thing. What would love do in that situation? And come from that place. And it's not easy all the time. We live in our head, or at least I do. I live in my head a lot. And if I'm in my head and somebody does something, my first response is going to be my mechanical response out of my head. The thing to do is take that breath and allow myself to go, have a full body experience with yourself. Why is this person annoying me? What is that all about? And then find the good, because there too is the presence of God. It's a powerful way to be in the world. And if we could all practice it more often, we'd start to shift how we perceive each other. I started to share the story and then I forgot. Now I'm going to share it now. And I've shared it before, so I apologize, but it's a good example of how we treat each other and how other people treat each other. And I believe I shared this with the practitioner students on Monday, so I especially apologize to them. But there was a tribe. I heard this story originally from Reverend Susie Shadle. And so I'm not going to remember what tribe. I'm not going to remember where they were from. However, what the anthropologists were amazed at was how they treated each other, because it was the first time they'd ever seen a group of people absolutely, you could feel the love and the respect they had for each other. And so they studied these people to find out, what is it that they are doing that they really don't have a lot of discord. And so they watched and they asked. And they said, well, you know, what we do, if somebody does something that is out of integrity with the rest of our tribe, instead of banishing them out into the forest, or instead of making them wrong or holding their feet to the fire and saying how bad they were, we realized that their behavior was our responsibility. That somehow we had created in that person a way for them to feel separate, and so a way for them to think that they needed to behave this way. So what we do is we call them into the center of the village, and everybody in the village surrounds them. And we tell this person how much we love them. We tell this person how important they are to the fabric of this community. We tell this person that we would not be the same if they weren't here. Now just imagine if we started to do that, even on a small scale, how it could shift the vibration of who we are. So creating the common good is about listening to each other. It's about seeing past your first reaction of what you see and seeing into the heart of the other person. Where if you take off this human shell, we're all the same. We all have one heart, right? Each one of us. We all bleed one color red. I throw that in because my husband wrote a song. But each one of us has an opportunity to make this place a better place to live. And we can wait for somebody else to do it. And if we do, we're going to be living on hope. I personally believe it's ours to do. I personally believe we start right here with each other. We practice creating a place here where everybody can be seen and be heard and loved for who they are, regardless if we agree with them on every single level of their life. Because the truth is, you don't know everything about everybody. And unless they share it with you, you still won't. And there are some things you will never know because you have no idea what somebody's thinking, right? They can tell you their stories. They can tell, have you ever had somebody, what are you thinking? Right? And they'll tell you, you don't know. Maybe they were, maybe they weren't. So I would like us as a community to start to create that groundwork of a tidal wave of good that will ripple effect out. Because if we practice here with each other, every single one of you works with people that don't come here. Every single one of you probably has family members that aren't here. You work, you shop at grocery stores. Just imagine if you went in with an energy of, I'm just going to go in and not react today. Think of how the energy would shift. And as it shifts, just allow yourself to feel the power of your own vibration. And if something's upsetting to you, put up your hand and allow yourself to see past what you're seeing into the perfection of the person that you think is upsetting you. So let's just breathe in. Breathe into this time and this space and this wonder and this delight that is God right here and right now. Knowing that each one of us is a powerful presence. Knowing that each one of us is here by divine invitation. We have chosen to be here. And so to own that, to realize the very essence of who we are, to embrace that love that is at the core, at the heartbeat of our soul. To understand and to live from that passion of we are all one. And in that oneness, to really elevate ourselves to that place of divine connection. And so I allow in this moment, in this time, in this space, just to speak my word in the knowingness that we create that vibration of love. That each one of us practices being in that field of common good. Knowing that everything we see in every single moment is exactly as it should be. Whether it lights us up or not, we allow it. We create that space of love, delight, compassion. And as we do so, we know only truth. Everything we see, everything we hear, exactly as it should be, all God informed. And so I say thank you, Father, Mother, God, Spirit, within me for knowing this truth right here and right now. As I turn all these words over into the law, I know that as it is spoken, it is done. The universe has done what it does. It has said yes. We all step into that divine energy of good and allow it to guide us as we move through this week, individually and collectively. So I call it good because I know it's God, and together we say, and so it is.